buddies, how's it going? Just going to show you some 5-3 games here that I just recorded in my quest to become a master. Showed you some 1 minute games where I wasn't playing that well. Hopefully this video I'll be playing a bit better. Unfortunately, I just recorded this and I thought I had my mic on, but I didn't. So you've missed my kind of sterling commentary for this game. But never mind, we can watch along and I will commentate as we go along. Now, I was quite happy to be playing black to begin with. I was playing Hussein Ahmed, who was a 1449 rated player. So, a nice big scalp for me if I could overcome this game and beat him. I like this opening. Now, I've been trying to play more conventional openings. With black, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, maybe because I'm not such an amazing player, it's possibly, weaker players find it easier playing with black. And whilst I'm not the weakest of players on lead chess, it says I'm better than about 34, is it 36% of players? But I'm a weak player, so maybe that's why I like playing black so much. So anyway, I was quite happy here to give up that space. I'd kind of worked out, I was happy there for the knight to be hanging there. That really annoyed me because I was like, I really don't like that sacrifice. It's bloody annoying, and you can trap the bishop, but I don't know, it still ends up being a nightmare, and you can easily lose from that situation. So I was like, okay, well, don't cry over spilt milk, let's carry on. So at this point I'm sort of waffling away here. Obviously you can't hear that, but I decided to let me break down his structure, and I think I changed from my mind from oh no, I thought he was going to take there. So he comes over, and at this point I'm not 100% happy. Obviously I've lost that king's pawn over there, and I'm suddenly not feeling that great about this game. Anyway, I decided to break down structure anyway and see what I can do. And I'll just leave you with a few moves now. Yeah, there I was talking about the fact that I had pressure on that pawn, and perhaps maybe I could come up around at some point, and with my with my queen and my bishop, and basically attack that thing. So now obviously we were talking about, I was talking about the fact that I've got pressure on there, but unfortunately I totally slip and I forget that I've got my knight hanging. He then comes down at this point. I'm like, oh, okay, well this is bad, because if I move my king up there to f7, then obviously he'll just come swooping in with his queen, and that's checkmate, which is what I'm demonstrating now. And so I just realized that I think the best I've got is a perpetual. So I just moved back, expecting him to move his bishop, put me back in check. And there, and I say, well, look, such a high rated player, he's not going to miss that one, basically. He's a high rated player, and he's just, even though I've got pressure there on his f pawn, he's he wants to come down there, but obviously his queen's got duties, and he's not going to let me get that checkmate, because he's got a rating at this stage 102 points higher than me, so I'd expect him to know this. So anyway, he then moves there. Now I think, that seems like a mistake to me. Obviously you've got queen down next, but that does seem like a mistake to me. There's no checkmate. Obviously I'm not going to take your bishop with my rook, because then it would be checkmate. So I take it with the queen, with the king, and obviously I've still got escape routes, and he comes down like I expect him to. I move there, and I move back. I'm like, okay, cool, we can do this perpetual thing all day. Expecting him to maybe move the knight down to protect that, but he moves the bishop, and I'm like, what? Hang on a sec. This high-rated player, he's just forgotten, and yeah, he just basically, resigns. That's it, checkmate, done. And obviously he resigns at that point, and I give him a well-played good game, and he rage quit, and I was woohooing, woohoo! I'll do it again, because I was very chuffed there, and just quickly going through this game now. I'm actually going to double time this for you. Okay, so there we go, a little bit quicker. I was very chuffed with this game. I was just saying there that I think, that was a mistake, him not pushing the pawn down, because it stops my knight going out to there. Perhaps it wasn't a mistake. I mean, he's a higher rated player, and perhaps he envisaged this little scenario here, but I just don't think he envisaged it quite right. I think he expected me to take with the rook, which would have made checkmate, and and there we go, and and I think I just put it onto board analysis, because just to get the sweet satisfaction of the actual checkmate. Boom, there it is. So very chuffed with that one. I immediately, after I was pumped, I felt pumped on this, because I had just been watching Magnus Carlsen play, and obviously he's a god, and I am but a dust mite, a speck, compared to him when it comes to chess. But I was pumped. I was like, yeah, man, come on, I'm gonna start doing some crazy stuff. I'm gonna go with conventional openings, but I'm gonna try and be crazy. I'm gonna try and be creative. And I was pumped, and I felt like one of those guys in the gym. It was like, woo, woo, it's way too loud as he's working out, and that's how I felt. So anyway, we moved on to Vendedor de Crack, which I was saying sounds like a Dutch crack dealer. Apologies, Vendedor, if you ever watch this video and that's your real name. I apologise, but if it's a joke name, it's a good one. Sound like a Dutch crack dealer. So anyway, I was quite pumped. He was of a lower rating, 1375, as we see there. I mean, I had jumped up to 1385. I was just so pumped with that win, actually. I was so pumped with that win. 1479, I think he was. But, so already here, I'm just talking about how this structure is deceptively strong that White's got themselves into. I've often attacked with my queen down that line, and I end up regretting it. It's very easy to cover with that pawn, and it kind of just wastes a move. And then I'm talking about sort of doing that with my my e pawn there. Sorry, my c pawn, not my e pawn, my c pawn. And in the end, I decide, hey, look, it kind of works for me. This breaking down of structure on the left side, so maybe I should employ that. And thinking, again, having pressure on that square, and maybe I can finish the game in a similar way that I did last time. And I'm sort of just talking about how Mr. De Krak is obviously a lower rated player, and so yeah, just kind of hoping to finish the game in a similar way. But yeah, he's set up quite a good defensive position here, and I'm not feeling that great about this position, but I'm not feeling that badly about it either. But I suddenly realised that, yeah, okay, look, I really need, now that his knight is in front of his c pawn, I need to attack, and I didn't want the knight going out there to a4, and so that can end up being quite an annoying position for the knight, for white's knight. So now I come up here, and I'm obviously I'm planning an attack on this central pawn here, on this d pawn, and I'm just deciding what to move first. Yep, I'm fine with my queen, knowing that he now can't move out with his knight to attack my queen, so I'm happy about that. And then of course he can just come up there, he brings that down, and I start to think now, I was saying that I often regret not pushing up that pawn, and I think in this case I regret pushing it up at that stage. I think I would have been better served here moving my knight to there, but the whole point is that then suddenly my pawn, my e pawn there, was very vulnerable because I had my bishop there, and it's suddenly, that knight move was brilliant from him because it suddenly just pinned my bishop and my knight. It was really annoying, and my queen was off out of the way. I was thinking how to get rid of that knight, and thinking, okay, well, you know what, I've got to get rid of that knight because I need to move my knight. I want to move my bishop, I want to attack him on the right hand side there. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, my rook is kind of hanging, and I don't want that. And suddenly I'm in check, and then I realise, oh no, if I move back in, that's checkmate. Now it's, as you can imagine, it's the beginning of the end, and I'll learn from this. I will learn from this. I think I've been similarly scuppered before when I've put my queen there on b3. I'm sorry, on b6. I've completely and utterly messed that up, basically. So yeah, now he gets my knight, and it's the beginning of the end. And I'm trying to decide what to do there, but it doesn't really matter at this stage. Do you know what I mean? It really doesn't matter because he's going to come sweeping in with the knight, because he knows that I can't take the knight whatever I come in, or just go up with his queen even, and I move back, and it's like there are no good places to go at the moment. And I think here, yeah, he takes my bishop. I've just, yeah, it's all it's all gone badly, and yeah, there's not really many places to move, and I'm just kind of wondering here if I can, I don't know, do something. And that was a mistake, because of course he can just take it. And I was thinking, if you take that pawn with your pawn, I'm just going to resign. And he's got a full few minutes, and I just couldn't see any way out of this, you know. And I actually resigned a bit prematurely here. I think I hit it twice. I meant to just hit it once and wait for his move, but I don't think there was much point in carrying on that one. There was no way I was going to do what I did against Hussein and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. So I went straight away here again with Mr. van der Kruk, and I make a mistake straight away. I don't mean to bring out King's pawn, but I do anyway. But I think to myself, well, this is conventional. That's fine. You know, there's nothing too bad about that. And so I bring out bishop, thinking, okay. I always like to. I don't always like to, but I felt I wanted to hold that line, that bishop line, and it was a toss-up between should I castle first or shouldn't I? And plus, yes, that's for the b4 with the knight ends up being annoying in the later game, because you end up attacking c2. And I did that as well. What was my thinking there? I guess I just didn't want his knight to come down. Yeah, and obviously, you know, then he's totally scuppered me on my f2 file. So I pulled up, even though I don't like doing that. I pulled up because, you know, you've always got the bishop sacrifice on the right. So now I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good here. I'm pushing him back. And yeah, I want to get my knight into that position, or I want to mess up his pawn structure, either or. So I'm quite happy with that. And I'm quite happy to take away the pawn, I believe, and leave his pawn totally isolated. Or I'm not, and I didn't. I guess because it wasn't 100% isolated because of the bishop on the diagonal, the dark square bishop. So I'm just waiting here. He takes quite a bit of time to think about this one. And I guess he realizes in the end that it's a great one. And that's it. I just suddenly realize, I just suddenly wonder why I didn't take that pawn, which is hanging. And then, of course, his rook could have come across, and that would have been that as far as that middle pawn was concerned. Now, he jumped over, decided to go for the exchange anyway, which I couldn't quite get why he went for those exchanges. But I was happy with that. I wanted to get my knight into that position anyway. Then he's got it quite locked, and I wanted to break it because obviously we've both got 8 pawns each. His pawns are probably in a slightly better configuration, and I asked this at the time on the commentary, which you can't hear. I was wondering what is better here. You know, am I winning? Who's winning? What would what would, what would the engine say? What would the computer say? Who's winning? Um, and I think I got my answer in a few moves here because I couldn't tell, but really, I think black's winning. I think in most computer scenarios, black is winning this. Um, I think about pin, and I want to get my rook up onto that file, but I also feel like it's kind of rushed, and I've got to do it. So yeah, I think that's basically the choice that I take in the end, is to push up my queen's pawn, and get it onto d4, which as Ben Feingold was saying in a video I was watching the other day, d4 is very important, and a lot of grandmasters now make that the basis of their game. And I could go for exchange. I don't know. I'm sort of I want an out and out exchange here, like everything, but obviously he's just got 2 pawns on that, which and I've only got 1 pawn on it, so at some point I'm gonna have to, he wins that exchange. I could have just exchanged down to a pawn, and now as I look at it, as I'm excuse me, now as I look at it, I'm yeah, I think maybe I should have gone for the exchange. Instead I went up like that. I don't know, I was kind of floundering here, I was kind of floundering, and I don't really know what to do. And there I wasn't even really properly concentrating on that d4 pawn. I wasn't concentrating properly on the d4 pawn, and now suddenly I'm a pawn down. He's only lost 1 pawn. I've lost 2. So I'm a pawn down, he's behind my ranks, and I start thinking, oh, okay, maybe I can trap his queen here. But really, I just didn't have enough pieces. I needed that bishop back there with his queen back there, and I think, there was a chance to trap his queen, especially considering what he does next, which is which he dives right down. And yeah, I don't know, I just kind of made a meal of this. I think I should have moved more centrally straight away. I don't know why I moved to there. Should have been kind of more central. Yeah. I've just, now I'm letting him push home his advantage. We're just coming into the, final 90 seconds of the match. I realise that, yeah, I'm going to attack his queen. He's going to move his pawn down. I realise this at this point. It's obvious. Let's get on to d4. Let's get on to d4. My only sort of salving light, I'm sort of talking about how I've got it covered with my queen. If I can somehow get my rooks up when he moves his, then I've got a checkmate, but we're a long way from there. And I realise now that the only way to get his queen was to move up. And actually, now I'm looking at it again, I was covering a3 with my queen. So what I should have done was moved the left hand rook over. Sorry, I should have moved the right hand rook over to c1, which I was going to do, and then moved the left hand rook, and then that, I think, would have got his queen. I would have got his queen unless, he would have done some other manoeuvring, and then I just make such a hash of this. It's just incredible. I just make such a hash, and of course he's going to come down, and boom, and obviously the resign is coming pretty much straight away. I think I don't like to rage quit, so I play a couple more moves, and at this point I'm just weeping. I'm just weeping. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Don't even know what I'm doing. And then, yeah, I believe the game ends with me moving the wrong piece. Here I mean to actually move my king round to the front. As you can see there, I've got the king, and then for some reason I click on the pawn. I think I look at the time, and yeah, that's basically it. And we'll see here. There we go. Move that. Go into check, and yeah, resign. Not so much a rage quit, but just as a what else am I going to do but resign in that situation? He's got my rook, and away we go. So let's get. Okay, this was quite an interesting game, I think. Who are we playing there? SC something something. 1352 rating, obviously higher than myself. Unfortunately, after I lost those games to Mr. Vendedor de Crack, I kind of went down, and my earlier gains against Hussein Ahmed were excuse me, were robbed from me. So anyway, we started again with this. He didn't take the queen's pawn, but I like this structure. I've tried it a couple of times. Here I'm quite fine. I don't need to go for the exchange. I move that out so that if there's later an exchange, because sometimes you can gain an advantage via an exchange when it's pointing at a high value piece like the rook. But anyway, he realizes there that I'm going to just get the pawn, and he doesn't move away with his bishop, which is what he should have done. Here again, this starts to look similar to my game earlier. I should have taken with the knight there and not the king, but I'm like, okay, well, mistake's a mistake. You've done that. Let's move on. He moves up. I decide to cover that pawn, which he can start attacking again. So I move up to cover that and obviously reveal his knight. Now, even though I've made a mistake, I see 1352 at this point. I'm like, hopefully he does a me and just leaves that knight hanging, which he did. Hooray! And it kind of took me by surprise there, actually. I was like, oh, you've moved it back onto the black piece, but you haven't. So anyway, he then moves down, and I was going to take, but I don't like that, because then suddenly it opens up that file and there's all sorts of nasty things that can happen. So I'm like, you know what, I think this is a guy who can't play without his queen. He doesn't want a queen exchange. I can just feel that. Often lower rated players, they're not very good at playing without their queen. He gets me in a fork there, but that's fine. I'm like, okay. I sacrificed a knight for a pawn, so I'm happy to give him the knight back in that exchange. I decide there that I don't want his bishop on that square, and that's why I'm so I just sort of come up there so that if he then leaves it, I can just take that pawn. Obviously he takes that. He would have loved to have come down there and put me in check and pinned my rook, basically, which he couldn't. So I was just trying to work out best places for that and best ways to get, obviously he castles kingside, Um, as you can see, I point there to c5 with my knight, and then for some reason, you'll see here, I end up on e5, and that was a mistake because I was like, oh, and you can see here on my frustration, I just look at that pawn behind, and I'm like, I wanted to advance that pawn. Ah, that's annoying. Okay, well, you know what? I'll just exchange down anyway. I don't want him having that. That's fine. That gives me a chance to move the rook, move the pawn. I should have actually done that. What I was just thinking of there was moving the pawn back, but actually I didn't want, because then of course there's a series of checks and a checkmate, so I had to cover that first. So I do, and then obviously his knight is going to, he moves his rook over, which obviously attacks my bishop and also gives him room now to move his knight over, and I'm just, I know that at some point, and he takes a different route than I expect and kind of goes there. And of course that's the better route because it means that I can't nip up one space to the right with my bishop and still protect that square. So I realise he's going to do that, so I'm like, okay, let us prepare for that. So I bring up the rook on the F rank. He comes over as I believed he was going to, and I just drop back because I want to keep that line there going. I feel that's important. I could drop back to the right hand side, and that takes it away from the action. So yeah, I'm not, I was definitely feeling under pressure here, but I was like, you know what, I've still got this line. Maybe I can do something with this line. Perhaps there's something I can do, but obviously right now I'm like, if I move down, he's got a reveal check where he can just take my rook just by moving his knight out the way if I move into that line. So I'm like, okay, well, let's protect with the bishop. I'm probably going to lose this bishop now. I don't know what to do. Let's see what he does next. And now obviously I think he wanted to move his knight so that he could bring his rook into it, but instead he had his pawn. But I was like, you know what, I'm not in check. Let's get him in check. Bang. And at this point, I've lost. I'm like, damn, this isn't looking good. We're equal in material, but he's about to get a bishop. He's about to get a pawn. I've got more pawns than him, but he's about to get one right down by the end. Am I going to be able to stop him promoting? This happened early on, and as you can see, I'm just floundering here. I want to be able to put him in check again and keep him in check, but I can't. And then I'm looking up here, what if I do bring that rook in? And then I was like, ugh, you know what, just take the pawn. Who knows, maybe you'll get another chance to check him, and if he's a bit slack, I can get him in some kind of perpetual. But right now I'm about to lose my bishop, and if I lose it by him putting me in check with his rook, then I've lost that rook as well. So I move it out of the way and I take it down. I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to lose a pawn, so yeah, what's going to go on here? How's he going to take this pawn? Is he going to take it with his bishop, with his rook or his pawn? He takes with his pawn. Now, I think perhaps he should have taken that with his rook. But anyway, I then just suddenly realise, hang on a sec, takes me a little while to realise, as you can see, comments below, or answers on a postcard, because there was an obvious move that I should have done right then and there, which I didn't do. Um, and it's still there. The move's still there, and I'm like, oh dear, and I'm just concentrating here, and I'm like, okay, here we go. The move's still there, and I think I'm just thinking, oh, go on, just leave your knight there, and I'll take it, or don't cover it, or something. And all he had to do was cover his rook with the knight, his knight with the rook, but he didn't. And then I'm just about to take that. I realised that would be no good, because he would then just simply get my rook by putting me in check. And I just suddenly realised, hang on a sec, his rook's on the back rank, isn't it? Doesn't that mean, yes, it does. There we go. You can see where my mouse goes. I'm still talking. Like I said, we've lost the audio here, and I'm still trying to work out how to deal with this pawn. But then I suddenly realised, hang on a sec, I've got his rook. Boom. Check. There's literally nothing he can do about that. If he was covering, if he'd covered his knight with his rook, he could have moved his king down and just saved that. And like I said, I've only just noticed as I watched this game back that move was on. That move was on for like a few moves. I could have done that move a few moves back, and I'm lucky he didn't see that. But yeah, he basically snatches snatches defeat from the jaws of victory, a la Hussein Ahmed at the beginning. I was very happy with is it Skitto 20? I don't know. I can't quite read right here from my position. And again, I could have taken that, but it didn't matter by the end anyway, because whatever he did, I was going to get that knight. And it really didn't matter. And I think we have a resigner here, and yes, indeed, a resign. And I think I give him a replay here. Or do I? Was I feeling in a generous mood? Yes, I gave him a replay. Okay, so let's jump straight into this one. I might just forward this a bit so that we go past the openings. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, quite standard. Like I said, I'm trying to get more conventional. I like this position here with the two knights. He takes a very long time to think about this one. I don't know what he's thinking about, but anyway, he takes it. I bring out my bishop, and as I was just saying there, the reason why I was ring fencing those pieces is that I never used to be able to play without at least one knight, but in recent years, I'm quite comfortable with both bishops, and I've watched a lot of really great Carlsen games where he's been devastating with two bishops. I'd love to get to that. I'd love to get half of that level. Yeah, no, sorry. I'd like to get to 2% of Carlsen's level. 1%. If I get to 1% of Carlsen's level, I'll be able to beat anybody I know. Right now, I'm really dying for him to castle. I'm like, man, I really want you to castle, because, do you know what I mean? Well, not quite yet. I want to get some, and now I'm like, okay, great, this is even better, because now I can move my bishop back, I can get to that queen's pawn, you castle, and I've got you in a nice skewer, queen and rook, and I'll win your rook. And then I'm like, oh, okay, is he going to push his pawn forwards now? And I'm like, I'll probably push my bishop up if he does that, even though I don't want to, but he doesn't, which really surprises me. Now I bring my bishop back here, as you can see, to just nestle in on e2. But I could have gone. I think I notice, and I'm saying that I'm covering off his bishop down there, which can be quite a pain with that pawn, that e pawn so far advanced. And then I suddenly realised, hang on a minute, I could have actually gone up to c4 because if he takes bishop, I win queen. And I'm still sort of yabbering on there about what's the best thing to do there. And so I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to push that pawn forwards because that's all kinds of grief. So I'm starting to feel a bit hemmed in on this side. So eventually I realise, actually, here we go, I think here's the realisation that, yeah, you can't take my bishop if I put it there. I'm actually going to forward here there. I must have been just waffling and taking a long time. I think the reason I was taking a long time, actually, I just remembered, was because I quite liked this position. I didn't really want to move my bishop, my dark square bishop. I didn't want to move my light square bishop. I was fairly sure he was about to castle. You know, obviously he's a low-rated player, so maybe he doesn't see that dark bishop skewer threat. And I just felt like I didn't want to move anything. And yeah, there I'm just kind of rewinding for, yeah, some reason. That's it. Now I've just suddenly realized, hang on a minute, I could have gone there because he can't take it off, and I was like trying to work out how long that move had been there and how I'd missed it. So I only just noticed now. So here, like I said, I didn't really want to move anything. Everything was great. And then I was like, okay, actually my white square bishop, because I was like, what's the point of putting him in check? There was no point in putting him in check. But now I was like, okay, yes, that's a good place for my white square bishop, because then I can, once that's there, I can exchange the knight. His queen goes across and I win a very important pawn. And I've got the center of the board and I'm attacking all sorts of pieces. So here we go, I get it, and I think, okay, well, if you're going to make a kind of me type mistake, I've just pre-moved onto the queen. He doesn't do that, and he thinks, aha, well, now it's really great, because that's why I moved my pawn there, to protect my white bishop. I think about moving the bishop back, and then I think, well, why am I going to do that? Because I don't actually want the exchange there. You know, all that's going to do is bring his knight to pressure, and then suddenly he'll have his queen there. So I'm like, I'm not married to that white square. Just simply move up. Simple as that. No, you know, threat gone. What can that white bishop do? Nothing. Nothing. Nathan, zip. Bang. There's the exchange. He then suddenly realizes, uh-oh, of course, if I take that, he's going to get the pawn. So he then messes up his pawn anyway, which is a big mistake. I'm going to let this play in real time because you'll see. I want the tension to build as he decides what to do. So he takes with the pawn, but it's like, hey, buddy, you're going to lose that pawn anyway. It's gone. It's gone. You might as well have lost it with and keep your pawn structure. And I'm just trying to decide here, should I bishop, queen, and I'm like, cool. I'll take queen. I'm not scared of not playing with my queen from this point. I'm quite comfortable to play you with two rooks and a bishop and your skew with pawns. But you know, I know he's not going to do that. So now I'm into Pac-Man mode. Now I'm like, wow, great. There we go. Check. You're going to have to cover with your bishop. That's great because I want to simplify. So I'm just thinking, do I want to simplify now or do I want to move in check? Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely want to do that. Because my dark square bishop's not there anymore, so there's no point pushing his king onto a dark square. And now I'm fully in Pac-Man mode. Here we go. Gobble, gobble, gobble. He goes down like that. I take that pawn, and of course I shouldn't have. I should have moved my rook across. I just realised that because I'm in Pac-Man mode. I should have moved my rook across and got his queen, obviously. And then I think it would have been queen, I would have got both his rooks, and I would have ended up with a queen and a rook, and he would have just had a king, two isolated pawns. But hey, you know, sometimes it's nice. It's actually nice to drag these things out. So I realise there's a mate threat there. You know, it's not. You know, I've done the laughing Bond villain. I've done what Hussein Ahmed did to me in the first game before, whereby you're so up, you just don't even really. There's no point. I'm just going to tell you all my plans. I'm going to do what, and then you're going to suddenly beat me because I've been too cocky and too confident. So now all I'm thinking about now is getting a queen exchange. That's all I care about now, and it's just about moving my queen, to places where it's safe, and I'm still attacking. And so that was great because I couldn't be attacked by any of his rooks. I wanted this file. I wanted that open D file, and I was just thinking, you know, how am I going to get it? And then I was like, right, just bring it up, exchange the rooks, get a queen exchange going. And so I do that, and I wanted him to exchange rather than me, because then I can't have the D file with my second rook, because he'll just take it, or I've got to do a bit of maneuvering before, you know. And again, here I don't play the laughing villain, you know. Here I realise that, you know, I've got to deal with that threat, and that's still a mate threat, by the way. If that rank is cleared with that pawn there, it means like my king can't jump up into that space. So I'm still wary of that. But here we go now. I'm pretty sure, you know, I sort of say, right, I want that queen exchange now. I don't care, but that rook exchange. But he gives it to me, and that's even better. Now I've simply got this. Now it's just, you know, now I know that, look, there we go. He's not even giving me a chance to do my little green arrows. He wants to, don't know what he wants to do, but you know, he probably wanted to double up and try and get my f pawn there, and there we go, queen's off, and then it's just a simple matter of, you know, there we go. And I think he resigns here because he's literally got no moves. I've got that rank. He can't even even if he could attack my rook with his king, I would just simply move it down. I was thinking of going across, but afterwards really I would just move down to d4. And I've got I've got 7 pawns to his 3, and there is not much he can do here. And you know, 8 seconds left. I thought he'd quit the game. In fact, I think he did quit the game. He didn't. He rage quit. He just simply signed out of the game, or just stopped doing moves. And I just gave him a good game, well played. And I was very chuffed with that. So I think I do a bit of analysis here, which I'm not going to show you. Sorry, I just cut my audio there. I'm not going to show you in real time. Just do a bit of analysis. But basically, thanks for watching this video. I really enjoyed making it. You know, obviously it's a very new channel, and I haven't actually got many subscribers. I think I got 1 subscriber. But you know, eventually, hopefully people are going to start watching this, and when you do, please let me know about speed of videos, anything you want to do, track my progress. I'm going to start doing a lot more kind of reading up and learning and talking about what learning resources that I can go to. But basically, that's the video, and thanks very much for watching. Oh yeah, this one, sorry, just before I go, this is me looking at that one where I felt I was very behind, and I ended up snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. I was very happy there. Very happy there. I was just trying to see if he can get any mates. But anyway, that's all we've got time for now. I will leave you with that, and I will see you in the next one. Crypto G out.